Hi everyone. Last week I had a coffee and a chat with somebody that I met on LinkedIn who told me as we got started in the coffee and chat that he now lived in Portland, Oregon, but previously he'd lived in Alaska. And I mentioned to him that I'd never ever been to Alaska. And that's what I want to talk about in today's Monday's Moment video and a challenge that he set me. I'm Simon Meadows, Sterling Business Coaching, and I'll see you in a moment. Now, as I was thinking about the gentleman that I was speaking to, and we were talking about all things Alaska, Canada, America, here in the UK as well. And we were talking about what we did and what our achievements were. And one of the things I mentioned to him was the fact that I'd had businesses in Canada for quite some time, but I'd never actually been to or met or spoke with anybody from Alaska. And then I mentioned my podcast and the fact that I'd spoken to people from New Zealand through to Hawaii, across to Europe, and all across the world, again, apart from Alaska. Now, this guy is going to be a guest on my podcast, I'm sure. But he said getting him as a guest on the podcast was okay. He said what would be amazing would be to get a native Alaskan, I think that's the right way of spelling it and saying it, a native Alaskan who has had their own business on the podcast, because he felt that was very, very special. So I decided to accept the challenge, and that's what I'm doing in this Monday's Moment video. If anybody listening to this knows first, second, third, fourth hand, I don't really mind, somebody who is a native Alaskan who would be happy to come on a podcast and share some business tips, whether they're in business or whether they've been in business in the past, whether they're even starting off in business. If you'd like to come on the podcast, share some business tips, share some value, but also put you into the spotlight and share some top tips. Then I got thinking there must be other people who have stories to share. Now, here in the UK, we're very, very, I suppose, different in the fact that our history is one of being invaded by lots of different countries, whether it's the Vikings, whether it's the Normans. So if we look right back to our native ancestry, it's actually quite hard to do that. Some of us perhaps can loosely do it. Some of us perhaps have come from this country and definitely can. But to be a native person from the UK, whether it be England, Wales, Scotland or Ireland, is quite difficult. But what I want to do is give anybody who feels and can illustrate that they are a native person of the country that they're talking from, who has had a business or is in business, that can share some top tips, and also share your story. Share the story of the challenges, the obstacles that, on top of all the others that we all face, you had to go through to set up your business. And perhaps there's some good things, perhaps there's some support, perhaps there's some help. But I'd love to have a chat with you on my podcast and see how you have grown your business, how you have strived and thrived in the years gone by and in recent times as well. So if you'd like to schedule a podcast, there are two ways you can do it. You can message me and let me know that you are a native business person of a particular country and that you want to be a guest, and just drop me a message wherever this is appearing directly. Or even more simply, just go to www.coffeewithsimon.com, and I'd love to have you as a guest on my Sterling's Business Success and Coffee podcast. It'd be great to hear you share some of your tips and some of your stories from that. So please reach out and schedule some time and let's give some value and let's put your story, your achievements into the spotlight and have you in front of thousands of people by being a guest on my podcast. Hopefully that's set the challenge, and let's have a think about it. Think to yourself, who do I know who would be a great podcast guest, who is somebody in business and a native of the country that live in. But when I'm talking about native, I don't mean just somebody who's resigning. I mean somebody who has native origins in that country. That would be a great thing to do, and let's put the spotlight on that. And as always, I look forward to seeing you on the next video or post that I do during the week. Bye for now.